calculations in the Excel file. But even if you do them directly on the word processor, that's not wrong even. That's not wrong even. But if you want to demonstrate professionalism, the professionalism says that you do the ratio analysis on the Excel file and you identify the risk from the ratio analysis on the Word file. But if you do them on the Word file, that's not an issue. But that will not be demonstrating a professionalism, right? I hope you're clear on that. Okay, now I'm looking at this question number 3A in front of your screen, which a lot of students believe was unusual in the December 21 exams. So I'm just taking this question from here, and I'm taking this question on my Word file. I hope you can all see the Word file in front of your screen now. And we're just taking a deep look inside a very unusual question, which came in December 21 exams. And if a question like such comes to your exam setting, how would you ensure you try to do justice? So we're looking at an unusual question from September, December 21 exams, which is basically the question number 3, part A. Part B was not unusual. That was a reporting question, which always comes in the AAA paper. So only the part A was unusual. So how much marks we had for part A? We had 15 marks. So the stress level was only down to 15 marks. So the total question was worth 15 marks. Now, when you look at a question of 15 marks in exam paper and you believe, I don't know this, oh, I cannot do anything about it, I'm not prepared for this, leave it to the end. It is a 15 marks question. So ideally, I should have like 25 minutes for this. So leave the 25 minutes towards the end of the exam hall and then try to do what you can do the best in this question. Now, a lot of time, you're not reading the question well. If you read this question well, this is such an easy question. I'm reading and explaining. This question asks you, evaluate. So when you are evaluating something, you need to give a conclusion at the end of your answer. So evaluate what? The results of the subsequent events and the results of the analytical procedure. So you need to evaluate the results of the subsequent events and the results of the analytical procedure. Are the results given in the paper? Yes. Let's see where are the results given. Look at the exhibit number 1. In the exhibit number 1, in front of your screen, the results of the analytical procedures are given and the subsequent event. This is the results, right? The results of the subsequent events right here and the results of the analytical procedures are given in the exhibit number 1. What you have to do with these results? You just need to evaluate them. But when you are evaluating, what exactly you have to do? When you are evaluating, what exactly you have to do? Just give me 1 second. When you are evaluating them, what exactly you have to do? So when you are evaluating the results, which is given in the exhibit number 1, what you need to do? You need to comment on any inconsistency in relation to the evidence gathered. Now tell me, commenting on the evidence, is that something new? Examiner has asked so many times in the past paper, comment on the sufficiency and appropriateness of the evidence. Comment on the appropriateness of the evidence. I remember the December 16 question number 2. In the December 16 question number 2, examiner asked for comment on the sufficiency and appropriateness of the evidence. I think if I'm right, it was even in the March 20 paper. March 20 paper, question number 2, I think question number 2A or 2B, comment on the sufficiency and appropriateness of the evidence. So this requirement is nothing unusual, but the way the question started was unusual. Look at this line here in the red. This line here in the red. This is something which you are looking for the first time in the December 21 exams. So only this part was unusual. But examiner was saying you just need to evaluate the results given to you in the exhibit 1. While you are evaluating the results, what you need to do? You need to comment on the inconsistencies in relation to the evidence gathered. And every inconsistency you comment, you get 1 mark. So straight away, you had 1 mark per inconsistency commented on. So you have 1 mark per inconsistency commented on. So that's number 1. Now, a question on commenting on sufficiency and appropriateness of the evidence was there in December 16 and March 20, question number 2. So I would not consider this as something unusual. I would consider this as something usual, because commenting on the sufficiency is exactly like commenting on the inconsistency in relation to the evidence gathered. So while I am reading the results of the subsequent event, what I am focusing on, I am focusing on whether the evidence gathered by the audit team is good or bad. And when I'm focusing on the results of the analytical procedures, I'm focusing on whether the evidence gathered by the audit team is right or wrong. If there is wrong, I need to comment on the inconsistency only. Comment on something wrong where you believe the evidence gathered by the audit team is inconsistent with the result. So if the evidence gathered is inconsistent with the result, you will comment on that. 1 mark per inconsistency comment on inconsistency versus the results in exhibit 1. So if you believe that the evidence gathered by the team is inconsistent versus the conclusions versus the results given in exhibit 1, you will comment on that and you will tell why it is an inconsistency. So when you comment on why it is an inconsistency, you will straight away get 1 mark. Comment on why it is an inconsistency. Comment on why. If you comment on why it is an inconsistency, you will straight away get 1 mark. So that was the question. So evaluate the results. How would you evaluate the results? By simply commenting on the inconsistency. And every inconsistency you comment on, you get 1 mark. If you are capable of explaining why it is an inconsistency. So I think the second part of the question is in line with the December 16 and March 20. The only unusual thing in this question was the way the question started. Evaluate the results. But that was just an intro line. That was just an intro line. And the good thing was the results were given in the exam paper. Is everyone clear with the first requirement, 1A? Should we move on to 2A before we take a exemplary solution? Are all of you clear with A1? If you can drop your answer in the chat box, yes or no. Okay, thank you, Akshi. Other students? Okay, so I think your stress level can go down if you know how to read a question. But a lot of time you get panic or you get stressed out because you don't know how to read a question. So this question was pretty simple. Examiner was asking you to comment on the inconsistency versus the results. The results were given in the question number in the exhibit number 1, and every comment is 1 mark. Now look at that. Look at the second part. The second part is more simple because at least you're getting something you do get in the AAA paper. Sorry, recommend. That means like listing something. Recommend what? Number 1, further actions to be taken. So you are familiar with writing actions in the AAA paper, comma, including audit procedures, suitable audit procedures. You are capable of writing procedures which enable auditor to reach a conclusion on the matter. So how many matters are there in the exhibit 1? There are so many matters given in exhibit number 1. Some of the matters are subsequent events. Some of the matters are analytical procedures. So what sort of actions will you be taking as an auditor, or what sort of procedures will you be developing as an auditor to reach a conclusion on each matter? Now, we know that each action and each procedure is worth 1 mark, right? And we know action and a procedure start with an action verb. When you're writing an action or you're writing a procedure, you start with an action verb like discuss or like review or like recalculate. But the difference between an action and a procedure is what? Action is taken by the auditor to resolve an issue or resolve a problem, whereas procedure is performed to gather evidence. Now, in exam, you're not worried of breaking them into 2 headings. You're not giving 2 headings, actions and procedures. No, you are just writing them together. Whether they are actions or they are procedures, don't worry about them. You are just giving a heading action / procedures like this. You're giving a heading action / procedures because examiner is asking both of them together. So you give a heading action / procedure and you start writing under this whatever you want to write, irrespective whether they are actions or they are procedures. Don't be worried about that what you are writing is an action or what you're writing is a procedure, because both will start with an action verb. But the problem is that actions are taken to resolve an issue, procedures are performed to gather evidence. So don't bifurcate them, because if you go with bifurcation, your stress level will go up. Don't go with bifurcations, right? Yes, you need to write actions for each individual matters, but if there is no action for an individual matter, no need to worry about, right? So you need to write actions and procedures, not forcefully, but if they are in context of case, write them. Not necessarily for every issue there is an action, but for some of them there will be. But are you clear with the second requirement? Recommend the actions and suitable procedures. Number of marks available is 15 in total. So now when you look at the 15 marks, what will happen? For 15 marks, you get 1 mark per comment on inconsistency. 1 mark per comment on inconsistency. You get 1 mark per action, and you get 1 mark per procedure, right? So how many total points you should have in your whole answer? In your whole answer, you should have 15 points. Some of those points will be comment on inconsistency. Some of those points will be actions. Some of those points will be procedures. Now, actions are to be recommended, right? Actions are to be recommended. That means just list them. Procedures are to be recommended. That means just list them. So that will save a lot of time in exam. And the comment on inconsistency is something you need to explain. But how many total points you should have in your whole answer? 15, right? Irrespective, for some issues you're writing less, for some issues you're writing more. Are you clear with that, everyone? Are you clear with the breakdown of 15 marks? And yes, procedures, actions, additional informations, these are some things, Rishika, which are written in bullets. You can write actions with the issue. You can write actions in bullets. Procedures, evidence, additional information. These are some of the areas in AAA which are written in bullet forms. I hope you're clear with that. Okay. Is everyone clear with the understanding of the question? Is everyone clear with the breakdown of the requirement? Is everyone clear with the breakdown of the marking scheme? Now, this is exactly what you have to do with a question in exam paper which you believe is out of context. So 15% of the 100 marks paper in December 21 was a bit out of context. But will you spoil 85% of the paper just by getting stressed out with 15% of the paper? Tell me, how much was the weightage of this question? 15 marks out of the total 100 marks. So will you spoil your December 21 exam sitting by just getting stressed with 15% marks? Even if you keep 25 minutes or 30 minutes at the end of the paper for a 15 marks question, will you gain something like 4 marks or 5 marks, even if you're a very bad student out of 15? So you might write some actions, you might write some procedures, and you get something like 4, 4.5, 5 marks out of 15. That's better rather than just getting stressed out. Are you clear? Let's go down looking at the case study and just let's spend time on constructing an answer quickly. Okay, let's go back to the case study. Now, examiner is saying the results are given in the exhibit number 1, and we need to look at the results of the analytical procedures, and we need to look at the results of the subsequent events. And by looking at the results, we need to comment on the inconsistency. Can you all see the platform in front of your screen again? Please confirm that. Can you all see the platform in front of the screen? Okay, great. So we just need to comment on the inconsistencies from the results. Let's see the results. Let's open the exhibit number 1. I hope you can see the exhibit number 1 in front of your screen now. I'm reading through the exhibit. Urgent Company's financial statement shows a revenue of $120 million and a profit before tax of $11 million and total assets of $56 million. Will this be helpful? These numbers, if we need to comment on the materiality, we can make use of these numbers, right? The revenue of 120, profit of 11, and total assets of 56. So if we need to comment on materiality, we can. As part of your review of the audit file, you are considering the following results of the subsequent event. So you are doing a review of the audit file. When we carry out a review of the audit file? At the completion stage of the audit, right? So is this question set at the completion stage of the audit? Yes, because the second requirement of this question is on audit report. So you are doing a review, and as part of your review, you are considering the results of the subsequent events and the analytical procedures. So whose result is this? The management results or the auditor results? Whose result is this? Management or the auditor? The auditor results. But will there be some inconsistencies in the, will there be any inconsistency in the evidence obtained against the result? Yes, we need to comment on that. The results are fine because the results are obtained by the auditor, but has the auditor gathered the right evidence against the result? This is just a review of the working paper file, Rashika. This is not a hot review. This is not a quality control review. This is just a working paper file review. As simple as that. Okay, subsequent events. Let's see what are the results of subsequent event and have we gathered the right evidence on subsequent events. Number 1, just one subsequent event. The rest are all analytical procedures. Newspaper reports in June 20x5 revealed that Chemi and Company, a significant customer of Urgent Company, entered liquidation, and the creditors are unlikely to receive more than 20% of the amount outstanding. The amount outstanding from Chemi Company at 31st of March was 0.8 million. Out of 0.8 million, which is the year-end balance of Chemi Company, how much will we be able to receive from Chemi Company? The year-end balance from Chemi Company was $0.8 million, which is recognized in the financial statements. Now, after the year-end of the company, from the newspaper, we got to know that Chemi Company is entering the liquidation, and Chemi Company will only be able to pay 20% of the outstanding amount. So the remaining 80% is to be recognized as a bad debt. None of the amount outstanding has been received to date. So we have not received any amount yet by the time we are carrying out a review. So we are carrying out reviews in somewhere like June, and up to June, no amount has been received from Chemi Company. No further work has been performed as a result of these procedures. So once we came to know from the newspaper that Chemi and Company, which is one of a significant customer of Urgent, is in the liquidation process, and we need to recognize a bad debt of 80% of the total amount. We need to write off 80% of the total amount because we will not be receiving that. No further work has been performed as a result of these procedures. Is that inconsistent with your result? Considering it's a significant customer, have we done anything on the bad debts as an auditor? Have we ensured that the management has recognized bad debts? Have we asked management to recognize bad debts? Have we correspondent with the liquid data? Have we corresponded with the administrator of Cami company asking by when the amount will be received? Have we reviewed any correspondence between Urgent company and Cami company to ensure the prospects of receiving the 20% amount? Have we done anything like such? So do you believe the evidence is inconsistent versus the conclusion? Cami is a significant customer into the liquidation. That is the conclusion, right? So do you all agree that the no further work has been performed as a result of these procedure is an inconsistency versus results? Do you all agree? Subsequent event procedures, right? Okay, so what should be the first heading in the exam paper? Subsequent events should be the first heading from as per the case study. So my first heading would be subsequent event first. And there is only just one subsequent event, right, in the exam paper. So let's see how many marks I can score under the subsequent event. So if I start writing my answer for subsequent event, I would first be telling examiner, comment on the inconsistency. The auditor conclusion on evidence. The auditor has gathered no evidence on has gathered no evidence. Just okay. The auditor has gathered no evidence. Sorry, the auditor has performed no further work on Cami company amount recognized on Cami company receivable amount recognized in the financial statements. Receivable on Cami company receivable recognized at the auditor has performed no further work on Cami company receivable recognized in the financial statement at the year end, knowing the fact that 80% of the amount will not be received. Full stop. And even we are doubtful with 20% because we have not yet received even the 20%. So auditor has performed no further work on Cami company receivable recognized in the financial statement at the year end, knowing the fact that 80% of the amount will not be received. Now let's comment on the inconsistency. The no work seems to be inconsistent. Seems to be inconsistent as this is an adjusting event. This is an adjusting event which requires as liquidation of Cami company after the balance sheet date is an adjusting event which requires the receivable balance recognized in the financial statements to be written off by 80%. So see how you're developing your point. You're first saying the auditor has performed no further work on receivables recognized in the financial statement, knowing the fact that 80% will not be received. Full stop. No work seems to be inconsistent as liquidation of Cami company after the balance sheet date is an adjusting event which requires receivable balance to be recognized in the financial statements to be written off by 80%. So it is an inconsistent, because you should have taken some actions on this event being an adjusting event. So no further work seems to be inconsistent, number one, as liquidation is an adjusting event, number one. So it is an adjusting event, right? So it should be adjusted, and 80% of the amount should be written off, full stop. Further, the amount to be written off, is $0.8 million into 80% into 0.80 is equal to $0.64 million. Further, the amount to be written off is 0.8 million into 0.80 is equal to 0.64 million, which is how much percent of the profit? Which is a fill in the blank percentage of the profit and a fill in the blank percentage of the total assets, because there will be an effect on the total assets and there will be effect on the profit. Total assets. Can anyone find me the percentage? How much is 0.64 million of the profit? If I can show you the exhibit. Okay, how much is the profit? 11 million. So can you find the materiality of 0.64 million versus 11 million? Can you divide 0.64 million with $11 million? And give me the percentage quickly, all of you. 0.64 million divided by 11 million. It's like 6%. Is that the right answer, Akshi? Can anyone confirm that? 5.8%. Okay. And what about total assets? How much is it of the total assets? .53% of the total assets. Okay, that's good. Thank you. We go back, which is 5.8% of the profit and 0.53% of the total assets. Thus, material to the statement of comprehensive income. Is it material to the P&L? Because it's 5.8% of the profit. So is it material to the profit? Is it material to the statement of comprehensive income? Everyone? So will I get any marks for this? Yes, 1 mark. So first of all, the no work carried out is quite inconsistent versus being an adjusting event. You should have adjusted the financial statements. You did nothing on that. Further, the amount to be written off is material. So that is why you should have performed procedures on material areas. You have performed no work on a material area. So I've given 2 reasons to the examiner that why subsequent event, no work performed on subsequent event is inconsistent. Firstly, it's an adjusting event. Secondly, it is material to the statement of comprehensive income. Lastly, the no work is inconsistent because auditor should had performed additional procedures on chemi company being a significant customer, and knowing the fact before the signing of the audit report, that CAMI CAMI is in liquidation. So I don't know why the auditor has performed nothing here, because no work is inconsistent because the auditor should have performed additional procedures on CAMI company being a significant customer and knowing the fact before signing of the audit report that CAMI is in liquidation. So how many reasons we have that this result is inconsistent? Firstly, the no work is inconsistent. Why? No work is inconsistent. Why? Because first of all, it's an adjusting event, which should be adjusted, number one. Second, it's material. 2. And thirdly, because Kemi was a significant customer. We always work for significant customers as an auditor, right? So 3 things. How many marks will I score from this paragraph? Comment. Every comment will give me 1 mark. So my first comment is up to 80%. So this is my first comment. Being an adjusting event, it should be written off. So I will get straight away my 1 mark here. My second mark is on materiality. My third mark is that Kemi is a significant customer, and that is the reason further work should be performed. So how many marks have I gained on justifying that the evidence gathered by the auditor is inconsistent? 3. Then I change the paragraph and I write my actions and procedures. Actions and procedures. What should I have done? Ideally, what I should have done, knowing the fact from the newspaper that Kemi is in liquidation, I would have reviewed the correspondence between Kemi and Urgent, company, to identify by when Kemi will be able to pay the remaining 20% balance outstanding. Kemi will be able to pay the 20% of the balance outstanding. Discuss with management, discuss with urgent management, case specific, not management, case specific, urgent management. Discuss with urgent management the need to adjust the financial statement. This is an action, right? Financial statements. Discuss with urgent management the need to adjust the financial statements by recognizing a bad debt expense of $0.64 million. Discuss with urgent management the need to adjust the financial statements by recognizing a bad debt expense of $0.64 million. Discuss with urgent management the implication for the audit report if no adjustment is made, as the matter is material to the financial statement. This is another action, right? You're telling management that there will be an implication on the audit report if adjustment is not made, as the matter is material to the financial statement. This is another action. Procedure. Recalculate the amount of bad debt expense to be recognized. Recalculate the amount of bad debt expense to be recognized. That is the calculation. That is, you can show the calculation, right? Just like we shown above. Calculation in the bracket and bracket closed. Recalculate the bad debt expense to be recognized to ensure that the bad debt, if recorded by management, is accurate. So if the management has recorded the bad debt, it is exactly 0.64, not less than 0.64. So you can recalculate the bad debt expense. You can review the correspondence between Kemi and Urgent to identify by when Kemi will be able to pay. You can directly correspond with the liquidator. Correspond in writing with the liquidator. To confirm the timeline by when the 20% amount will be received, to confirm whether it will be received, or the full amount should be written off. Whether you will be receiving 20% or not. If you're not receiving 20%, then I should write off the 0.8 million, right? Not the 0.64 million, or the full amount should be written off, full stop. See how many actions and procedures I've made? Almost 5. But were they out of the case study? Did I focus on liquidator because that was given in the case study? Did I focus on recalculation because that was specific to the case? Did I focus on urgent management, not on any XYZ management? A lot of times students write management. Always put the name of the company. The name of the company is extremely important, right? Discuss with urgent management the need to recognize a bad debt. Review the correspondence between urgent and chemi company. Now tell me, have I written anything out of the case? Almost 5 actions and procedure with 3 marks coming from subsequent event. I'm almost making up an 8 marks answer out of the 15 marks answer. I still need to look into analytical procedures. But I hope you got the track what you need to do. First of all, you need to comment why the evidence is inconsistent. And then you need to put the actions and procedures. So if I hope you all agree that the conclusion of the auditor, no further work has been performed, is wrong. Do you all agree with me? No further work has been performed. Is that something wrong? No, review the circularization letter. You must have done that in the audit, right? Because it was a significant customer, Akshi. So it was a significant customer. So during the audit, you must have circularized the letter for 0.8 million, right? But now you are not circularizing the letter to the customer because the customer is in the liquidation process. So with whom you are corresponding? You're corresponding with the liquidator. So circularization is a procedure which takes place during the audit. And during the audit, you must have confirmed that the outstanding balance from Chemi is 0.8. I hope you're getting that, right? Okay, now look at the analytical procedures. How many issues have we identified in the analytical procedure? One is the inventory value. One is the inventory holding period. You go next. One is the write down of the obsolete inventory, and one is the receivable collection period, and one is the allowance for irrecoverable receivable, right? And for every issue, there are 5 issues in analytical procedure. What we need to conclude for inventory value right here, this is the corroborating evidence. Can you see the corroborating evidence in the last column? Now you need to comment on whether the evidence gathered on inventory value is consistent or not. Let's see. Let's do one more and then you do the rest yourself. Inventory value ratio analysis. This is analytical procedure. Last year, the inventory value was $25 million, right? This year, the inventory value is $4 million. So there is a sharp decline in the inventory value when you were performing the analytical procedure. So there is a sharp fall. Inventory has fallen by 84% in the year. So is this the analytical procedure? Yes. So auditor is telling us that the inventory value has fallen by 84% in the year. This is in line. This is what the auditor is telling us, right? This is not management, right? This is the auditor. So please don't criticize the auditor here. This is in line with the expectation. As in November 20x4, the management moved to a just-in-time inventory system. So if the management has moved to just-in-time inventory, will that reduce the value of inventory you have on hand? Is that true? Is that correct? Definitely. This is the conclusion of the auditor, not of the management, right? So auditor conclusion is perfectly fine that the reason of falling inventory is the management has moved to just-in-time. The significant fall in the inventory level is consistent with a reduction in the holding period. So your holding period has gone down as well, right? Your holding period has gone down from 94 days to 15 days. So that is also an indicator that you have moved to just in time. And that is also an indicator that your inventory value has gone down. So this is how the auditor is commenting on the analytical procedures. So auditor is linking the analytical procedures with just in time. Auditor is linking the analytical procedure with the inventory holding period. Now let's see, have you gathered the right evidence on just in time? Auditor attendance at the year-end inventory count. So auditor attended the year-end count. Sample counts performed. So auditor did performed a sample count and sample counts performed and count controls observed. So auditor did observe the controls at the count, which is one good thing. Auditor did perform the sample counts, which is two good things. And auditor attended the year-end count. That is three good things. No further work over completeness, accuracy, and existence of inventory is required. So auditor is saying that because we have done so much, no further work is required over completeness, over accuracy, and over existence of the inventory. Now let's see, is that the right conclusion of the auditor? You copy this corroborating evidence and you take this corroborating evidence to the Word file and you bring the next heading in the exam paper. And in the next heading of the exam paper, you put the heading inventory value. So see how I'm putting the issues, and under every issue, I need to comment on the inconsistency and then write actions or procedure. Inventory value. I'm just copying the paragraph of the auditor just to see what we can do. Auditor attended the count. Do you believe the attendance of the count do confirm existence of the inventory? So if I go to the count, will that confirm the inventory exists in the warehouse? Tell me. So attendance of the count, is that confirming the existence? Is that right? Is that what you used to do in the AA paper? How would you verify the existence of an inventory? By going at the warehouse. So is auditor attendance reconciling with existence? Agree, disagree, all of you? Agree, right? Okay, next, move on. Auditor attendance at the year-end count, comma, sample counts performed. Auditor did perform sample counts. Now, there is an issue here. When you are looking at a sample count, there are two types of sample counts. We're not sure whether the auditor has performed the two types of sample counts or not. Listen to me carefully. Sample count. Number one sample count is from the floor to records, and one sample count is from the records to floor. Now, for example, if I am doing a sample count from the floor to record, that means inventory exists at floor is recorded in the inventory sheet. Number one, inventory exists at the floor is recorded in the inventory sheet. And number two is record to floor. Inventory recorded in the sheet exists on the floor. Tell me, which statement confirms existence and which statement confirms completeness? Which statement confirms existence? Which statement confirms completeness? What about statement number one? Is statement number one confirming completeness or existence? Is statement number one confirming completeness of inventory recording or existence of inventory recording? Tell me. Statement number one, existence or completeness? Okay, Akshay is saying existence. What about the others? Please respond. Floor to record is completeness. Very good answer, Hamna Fizzle. Perfect answer. Completeness. Yes. When you go from floor to record, your purpose is to ensure that everything on the floor is recorded. Nothing is omitted. Everything on the floor is recorded. Nothing is omitted. So when you go from floor to record, the purpose is to ensure all on the floor is recorded. Nothing is omitted. So is that completeness? Is that completeness? Yes, that is completeness. But when you go the vice versa, inventory recorded on the sheet exists on the floor. The purpose is to ensure that all recorded inventory exist. All recorded inventory exist. All recorded inventory exist. That is, there should not be a exist to confirm there is no overstatement. There is no overstatement of inventory. Record to floor. If something is recorded in the inventory, should that exist? Otherwise, that will be a fictitious inventory. If I have recorded something in inventory, but that inventory does not exist, is that a risk of overstatement? If something recorded is not available on the floor, is that overstatement? Tell me. If something is recorded, but it's not available on the floor, is that an overstatement of inventory? Right? Agree, all of you? Record to floor is about overstatement. But if something is on the floor, but it's not recorded, omission is completeness. Omission is understatement. Do you agree omission is understatement? Omission is understatement. Omission is understatement. And record to floor is overstatement. Now the auditor has done the sample counts, but are we sure whether the auditor has performed both of them? I believe by looking at the statement, because the auditor was at the warehouse, so probably what the auditor must have done at the warehouse is the records to floor, because when you are at the warehouse, you have the sheet. Now, when you have the sheet, the most common test when you do at the warehouse is the records to floor. You confirm the existence. You have the records, so you say, okay, this is coming in the records, let's see on the floor, because you were at the warehouse, right? You were looking at things in the warehouse. So the focus of the auditor was the warehouse. So auditor was looking at the sheet. He's saying, okay, this is coming in the sheet. Let's see where is that in the warehouse. So probably the sample count is this. So I believe that the first sample count, which is about completeness, might not have been performed. This is just a thought process. I hope you're getting my point here. So sample count performed, I believe the first sample count is something missing. This is just my assumption. And the count controls observed. So counting controls observed is very good. No inaccuracies were identified by the auditor. That's good. When he was doing the sample counts or when he was doing the count process and everything, no problems identified. No further work over completeness, accuracy, and existence of inventory is required. We have done work on existence. That's good. We have done work on sort of completeness, but have we done anything on accuracy? Accuracy? Have we done anything on the valuation of the inventory? Tell me, has any work been done on accuracy? Let's assume the sample count performed were number 1 and number 2. So if you have done the sample count number 1, number 2, have you confirmed the existence and completeness? Yes. If you were attending the inventory count, have you checked the completeness and existence? Yes. But what about accuracy? Do we need to do the inventory count for accuracy? What does accuracy means? Accuracy means the valuation. Valuation. Accuracy means lower of cost or NRV. Accuracy means the purchase cost. The purchase cost of inventory should agree with purchase invoice. Or if it is a manufactured inventory, the purchase cost, the cost of inventory should agree with material cost, labor cost, and overheads. Have I done anything on the cost of inventory? Have I done anything on the accuracy of inventory? Tell me. So I think we have done something on existence by looking at the statement of the examiner. We have done something on the completeness, but I think something we missed out is accuracy. Do you agree with me or not? I think what we have missed out is accuracy. So is the conclusion of the auditor right that we have worked on accuracy? Has the auditor really worked on accuracy? I hope you're getting my question here. I'm not getting any replies from you. So has the auditor done something on accuracy? No. So is that inconsistent? Is that a comment on inconsistency that no work has been performed on accuracy? Only work performed is on existence and completion. No work has been performed on accuracy. And then can you recommend some procedures on accuracy? Just like the one I've given you. So I think what you can do here is no work performed on accuracy. And you can just comment on this for 1 mark. You can comment on this for 1 mark. And then you can write some procedures. You can write some procedures for accuracy, just like the examples I've given you below. You can write some procedures below. And I think this can help you down with writing something like a 3 marks answer on inventory value. Is that clear to all of you? I'm not writing the full answer, but I hope you have got the track of what you need to do for inventory value. And this way, you go over the rest of the question. You have inventory holding period. And this is the evidence you got on the inventory holding period. You look at the evidence column very carefully because you get marks from here. So you exactly look at the last column to see what evidence has been gathered by the auditor versus the conclusion of the auditor. So you are comparing the column number last with the column number second last and third last, second last. So this is the conclusion of the auditor, right? This is the conclusion of the auditor. This is the conclusion of the auditor. But you're comparing the conclusion of the auditor with the evidence. Where is the evidence? Here. So you are comparing the pink color with the yellow color to find whether the evidence is consistent or inconsistent. Is that clear? Are you getting what you need to do in a question like such, comparing the last column with the second last and third last column? So I think 15 marks were very less if you look at the number of corroborating evidences we have. We had 1 subsequent event, we had 1 inventory value, we had 1 inventory holding period, we had 1 write down of inventory, we had receivable collection period 5, we have allowance for irrecoverable debt 6. So we almost have 6 areas. And how many marks we have? 15. And just imagine 6 areas and 15 marks. So even if I keep roughly like 2 to 3 marks per area, I can make up 15 marks answer. But just imagine I was working on subsequent events and we got almost like 6 to 7 marks from subsequent events. And if I wrap up my inventory value, I think I can get 3 marks from inventory value. So how many conclusions are given by the auditor in the exhibit number 1? So when you look at the exhibit number 1 and you look at the results of subsequent events and you look at the results of the analytical procedures, how many are they in total? The results of subsequent events and analytical procedures in total are 6 versus 15 marks. Now, honestly tell me, 6 versus 15 marks, is that difficult? On average, if I keep 3 marks per result, and you can write more on 1, less on 1, or you might even write only on 4 and you skip the remaining 2 because you have to reach 15 marks, right? So you can even write on 4 and leave the rest of the 2, or you can even write more on some and less on some. So now tell me, is that a difficult question? Results 6 versus 15 marks. So what is important for all of you? To look at the last column, because the last column is corroborating evidence. So you need to see whether the evidence gathered in the last column is consistent or inconsistent with the conclusion of the auditor. And where is the conclusion given of the auditor? In the column number 3 and sorry, in the column number 4 and column number 5. So carefully look at the column number 3 and the column number 4 to conclude whether the evidence is consistent or inconsistent. Yes, you will still get 15 full marks if you leave some of the issues. Suppose I just work on 3 issues and I made my 15 marks. Wonderful. Examiner is not saying using all results. Examiner is not saying that you have to use all results, right? So even if you use like 4 results and you make up your 15 marks, that's wonderful. But my bottom line is from all of you, Akshi, Anjima, Hadi, Hamna, Kainat, Ria, Rishika, Shivins, Tuba Said, are you getting control of a question? Are you getting what you need to do exactly in this question? So if a question like such comes in the exam hall, it is very important that you read it, you plan it, and don't get stressed out. If you don't know how to do it, leave it for the end. Leave it for the end, but don't spoil your attempt. Are you all clear with this demonstration of this question? The question number 3 from December 21 exams. But Hamna, I hope you will get points now, because there's 1 point subsequent event. Then there are almost like 5 points under the analytical procedure. So I think you have lots of points to make up a 15 marks answer. So even if you don't know a certain point, you can skip it. You have 6 issues to write a 15 marks answer. So even if you skip an issue, you don't know how to write it, that's perfectly fine. So are you gaining confidence on the question number 3 of the December 21 exams? Because that sounds like a nightmare when I was looking at your WhatsApp group and lots of students saying, can you do something for question number 3 of December 21? Or can you post a video for this? I hope this is beneficial for all of you. Right, so please ensure that you complete this question today, sit down today and wrap up the rest of the answer, because that will give you a confidence that you can handle the other issues and you can look into the inconsistencies into the evidence. So I think you can take this as a mock question today and just try to complete it on your own and do a self-appraisal. So that was it from the question number 3, right, of the December 21 exams. Okay, now any further questions you have? We have another 11 more minutes to wrap up this session. So if you have any question to ask, you have an opportunity of 11 minutes. Your time starts now. Yes, Akshi, it's fine, because see, you are giving one heading. You are saying action/procedures. So when you write under action/procedure, you're not doing any bifurcation, right? So even if you write all procedures and no action, that's fine. But I hope when I was writing the subsequent event, when you discuss with management to record something, or when you discuss with management to adjust something, they are like actions, right? So asking the management to rectify something, asking the management to record something, or asking the management to adjust something, that is basically known as an action. But even if you don't write and you write a procedure only, that's perfectly fine. I hope that's giving you confidence. Hamna, I've just responded back to your question. Please check the chat box. Okay, so any further questions, or I should be winding up the session, because the basic purpose was to look at your Q&As, and secondly was to discuss with you the question number 3 of the December 21 exams. Just one last moment. When you look at the, sorry, just 1 minute.